I thought I would try to cover the period between 1931 and maybe 43
Okay.
because I was born in 25, and by 31 I'd entered the first grade in a new school, Sweetwater Elementary School. I didn't know it was new, by the way. Uh, and I became aware of some things that were going on at age 6, but not many. But looking back over it and thinking about it during these past few days, Sweetwater was a city on the move, day and night, like no other time in the history of Sweetwater, I think, because most of the people didn't own cars. So they got to where they were going by walking, which meant that the 300 or 400 people that worked at the woolen mill would have to leave their homes and walk to work. And from as far away as Smith Street, as far away as the cemetery, they walked to work every day and back, rain, snow, sleet, whatever, without sidewalks, without paved roads in some areas. And they converged on Sweetwater from all areas. They would walk down Von Orr Road, they would walk up Highway 11, down Highway 11, wherever they had to come from. And as a matter of fact, a lot of people who live from the country or other places lived in boarding houses in Sweetwater in order to work here. There were several boarding houses all over town that provided room, board, and served meals for anyone who wanted to eat. And they were fine eating establishments, some of them. So anyhow, the woolen mill blew a whistle at 6:30. That gave you 30 minutes to get to work. And you didn't want to be late because you'd lose your job. They need to have the money. So they all got ready to leave prior to 6:30. Then they blew another one at 20 minutes to work time. They called the 20. And if you lived up on McCassin Avenue and you heard the 20 blow, you better start hoofing it to the woolen mill. Then they blew one at 5 minutes to work, they called the fiver. If you weren't across the railroad track, by the time the fiver blew, you were in trouble. So you would see people running to get to work because they appreciated the jobs they had. So we had all those people moving, 200 or 300 of them, walking. They knew each other. They talked to each other. Some few had cars, and they drove their cars, but it was a community effort almost. And then at about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, the children started walking to school because they didn't have buses in town. Most of the parents who had cars had to drive to work, so the children walked to school. But back in those days, we walked everywhere. So it was that helped meld the community together, I think. And then you had to walk to high school. So we had people who were about 30% of the people who entered elementary school during the 30s graduated from high school. 70% didn't because you could go to work in a woolen mill after 8th grade then, until the Fair Labor Standards Act was passed in the 30s. So you went to school, then about 11 o'clock you would see people leaving their houses all over town with baskets. And they were taking these baskets of food to the people who worked in the mills for their lunch. And some of them would have enough. I know my family had about 6 people working in the mill. And my grandmother would carry a basket full of food to the mill so all those 6 people could have a hot lunch. So then about 2:30 in the afternoon, or 2 in the afternoon, you see the second shift coming in. All the people moving across the railroad track to the mill. And at 2:30, all the people leaving the mill and walking back home. And then schools were out about 3 or 3:30, and you had all the kids walking home. So it was a community on the move, and it helped meld the community because we knew each other. We walked to school together, we walked to work together, whatever the situation.